News now. Police have confirmed that they are investigating a case of murder after the shooting of former footballer Marc Batchelor. They say Batchelor was shot by two men riding motorbikes as he was driving into his home in Olivedale. He was shot through the window of his car several times and died at the scene. The motive for the attack is unknown at this stage.
On the 15th of July 2019, South African football icon Marc Batchelor was gunned down in the driveway of his home in the suburb of Olivedale, Johannesburg. It was around 7 in the evening when Batchelor was traveling with his gardener in his white BMW X5, about to enter the gate of his yard, before two hitmen on motorcycles pulled up next to the vehicle. The hitmen were carrying semi-automatic assault rifles, and without hesitation they fired several shots at the car, only targeting the driver's side window. Batchelor was shot 7 times in his stomach and also his neck, causing him to die instantly right on the spot. He spent his final moments slumped over in the seat of his car, a tight cluster of bullet holes in the window, lending some insight into the triggerman's deadly intent. The motorcycle hitman would make a quick getaway soon after the shooting. The South African Police Service arrived a few minutes later, and their investigative unit would start taking statements from eyewitnesses who were near the scene. The police also managed to recover footage of the whole incident, which showcases a professional execution caught on Batchelor's CCTV cameras. The hitmen did not take anything after the shooting, and the police would rule out robbery as the motive of the attack. Marc Batchelor was a South African football icon who is part of the Hall of Fame squad that won the 1996 African Cup of Nations, beating Tunisia 2-0.
It's a great chance. That's it. Williams. 2 goals in 2 minutes, and this man remains from...
Batchelor began his football career at an amateur level, playing for local teams in his area. He was born in the city of Johannesburg in early 1970. He received his big break in 1990 from Dynamos, where he stayed 2 seasons after making his professional debut against Kwakwa Stars. In 1992, Bid the Swits enlisted Batchelor's talents, and throughout the course of his 2-year stay with the team, he established himself as one of the top attackers in the country by scoring 25 goals in 62 starts. The National Soccer League's top teams were interested in him as a result of his accomplishments, and Orlando Pirates ultimately won the fight for his signature in 1994. He won the National Soccer League title with Pirates in 1994, that very same year, which was his first season with the club. Known as Big Animal, Batchelor had great success with the Orlando Pirates, playing on a squad that won 4 significant trophies. One of those trophies included the 1995 CAF Champions League. Orlando Pirates became the first Southern African club to win the CAF Champions Cup, with Batchelor making 2 appearances for the team in the tournament. Marc Batchelor also lifted the CAF Super Cup and BP Top 8 Cup in 1996, which was his final year with Orlando Pirates. He left the Buccaneers having scored 8 goals in 17 appearances. SuperSport United signed Batchelor from Pirates ahead of the first ever Premier Soccer League season in 1996, and he scored 7 goals in 33 matches for the club. He only spent 1 season with SuperSport before securing a big move to Kaizer Chiefs in August 1997. During his 1-season stay at Kaizer Chiefs, Batchelor helped the club win the 1998 Rothmans Cup, beating Mamelodi Sundowns on penalties. A move to Mamelodi Sundowns then followed during the 1999-2000 PSL campaign. Batchelor won his last club silverware with Sundowns, where he lifted the Premier Soccer League title, but he was mostly used as a substitute player. In 2001, Moroka Swallows signed Batchelor, who was in the twilight of his career, and he retired from professional football in 2003, having scored 10 goals in 24 starts during his stay with the club. While Batchelor's early career was starlit by his achievements on the pitch, he steered toward controversy once his boots had been hung up. After retiring from professional football in 2003, Batchelor got a job at SuperSport, working as a sport analyst for television shows, and also commentating on live games. However, the stories about his off-air escapades were never far away, and ultimately they cost him his career on air. Batchelor was fired from SuperSport in 2007, after news came out that he, along with his friends, had assaulted someone using knuckle dusters. He was pulled off air by his station manager after a gym instructor named Ivor Josephs identified him as one of the 4 men who assaulted him outside a restaurant in Parkhurst. After retiring from soccer and losing his SuperSport contract, it is said that finances became an issue for Batchelor. According to his brother, Warren, it was around this time that Batchelor lost his way, and he went down the wrong path. Batchelor's brother-in-law, Archie Henson, would also come out and say that he started to make a lot of bad choices with the people he kept around, and he started to do business dealings with the Cape Town underworld. He was often seen in the company of former boxer Mikey Schultz, and they started being close friends. Schultz is the self-confessed hitman who killed mining tycoon Brett Kebbel in 2005. He was later granted immunity from prosecution. In the media, Mikey Schultz was known as a high flyer in the underworld of Johannesburg. In 2013, Marc Batchelor was yet again embroiled in another scandal when he and Mike Schultz both became state witnesses in the Oscar Pistorius murder case.
We were trying to be a voice for her, and then you get put victimized. What are you guys doing there? What are you doing in court? I was a state witness, and I'm a friend of hers, and I'm supporting the family. So, that answered a lot of people, but everybody that was there was just trying to be a voice for her, and I think she's been forgotten far too early in this whole thing, and tomorrow everybody will turn over the pages and she will be forgotten.
When Oscar Pistorius was arrested following the murder of Reeva Steenkamp, Batchelor did a series of interviews with local and international media about his run-ins with the Paralympic athlete.
Well, I don't think the sentencing was befitting the crime. I think the conviction and the sentencing should have been higher to the minimum of murder 1 and minimum of 20 years. He's killed, he's taken somebody's life, shot Reeva 4 times through a door. I still fail to see, in the States, it still fails to see where his life was ever in danger, where his life was threatened to that extent that he had to use that deadly force 4 times.
In the last few years of his life, Batchelor would lose his way and sink himself deeper and deeper into the Cape Town underworld. He fell out with self-confessed hitman Schultz, and they grew to despise one another. Years later, when Schultz was asked in an interview about Batchelor, he would go on and say the following: "I think he is a wannabe gangster who bullied old and small and had no balls to stand up to anyone that wasn't scared of him. He was a conman and a big thief. He would promise people to do debts, but take their money. So if you want to know who killed him, follow the money." Batchelor would also have a fallout with his other family members and longtime friends, with one being his mentor, former Springbok rugby icon, Ray Mort. Ray Mort would say the following when he described the last time the two spoke: "I lost contact with Mark. I tried to speak to him and say, you need to change your ways. I could see the good side in Mark. He had a good heart. He was a good person. He just couldn't get out from where he was doing business. He followed the wrong path, working with the underworld. I would tell him, Mark, you just need to get a steady job. You don't need all these ghosts in your mind and the desperation to get money." After distancing himself from his old friends and family members, Batchelor started to be seen hanging around with Nafis Modak, an alleged crime boss who's now arrested for a string of gang murders and nightclub shootings in Cape Town. Nafis Modak has also been charged for the heartless killing of top Western Cape Cop Lieutenant Colonel Charles Kinnear. Batchelor would become friends with Modak, and it is believed that the two were busy setting up a private security company offering protection services to nightclubs. The nightclub security business in Cape Town is notorious for its extreme gun violence, and it is a highly contested market, which has seen gun battles erupting between security companies for years now. These security companies are also the ones that control the Cape Town nightclub's booming and lucrative cocaine market. Batchelor would also start a debt-collecting business with Modak, which had allegedly made him several enemies which put his life under threat. In the weeks before his death, it appeared that the life of the former PSL striker had been descending into violence and chaos. According to the city press, Batchelor had complaints recorded against him for assault, but was also the victim of several beatings. He was also arrested at least twice for complaints, including reckless and negligent driving, as well as for trespassing. Batchelor also reported 3 assaults made on him to police. All of the assaults were reported at police stations in Sandton, Muldersdrift and Pretoria East. It was at around 7 p.m. at night, on the 15th of July 2019, when Marc Batchelor's white BMW X5 was shot up by 2 men riding on motorbikes. CCTV footage from his neighborhood shows the gunman trailed Batchelor's car for several kilometers. When questioned, the witnesses who were there claimed that they saw the 2 motorbikes even before Batchelor's car had arrived. They say that the shooters were lurking and waiting for Marc Batchelor to pull up into his driveway, before firing 7 bullets through the driver's window and 1 through the car door. The motorcycle hitman opened fire with what the witnesses say were 2 semi-automatic weapons. 6 bullets struck Batchelor in the chest, and 1 went through his head. The gardener, however, was not harmed. That very same night, pictures of Batchelor's bullet-riddled body would circulate around social media, which is where his family found out about the murder. Police would rule Batchelor's murder as a hit, instead of a robbery gone wrong, since his killer never took anything from him. While there were always rumors about his business dealings with certain criminal underworld figures, details that have emerged since Batchelor's death seem to indicate that he went into business with the wrong people. A report in the Sunday Times that came out a month after Batchelor was killed revealed that police were investigating whether Batchelor was killed in a revenge hit for his alleged role in stealing millions worth of cocaine, which was smuggled into South Africa in late 2018. The police are also linking Batchelor's death to the assassination of Serbian national Ivan Đurđević, who was killed in a similar hit at his Bryanston home in April 2019. It is said that Đurđević, who ran a debt collection company, went into business with Batchelor in 2018. The two were allegedly involved in stealing cocaine, which entered South Africa from Brazil and the Netherlands, via Port Elizabeth and Cape Town harbors, in December 2018. Batchelor's ex-fiancée, Cheer Gray, admitted that after losing his SuperSport contract, Batchelor was in need for money, and he went into business with the wrong people. Batchelor also owed a lot of money to very dangerous people. It was only a year and a half later when the public would receive news about the murder of Marc Batchelor, which revealed that he was part of an even bigger criminal syndicate that controls an illegal drug trade in the Western Cape.
The colonel was an incredibly principled person. He was an incredibly hard-working person. And I think some of the Seapoint colleagues, and I think the gang colleagues will remember how we would summon some people at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now I know that also. 2 o'clock in the morning to the police station in Seapoint to come because he wants to solve a case, because he had a resolve to fight crime and to stop the criminals from going on the way they're going on. Every attack on the police is an attack on the state. And honestly now, the criminals cannot be allowed to just continue like that.
On the 18th of September 2020, as he was leaving his home in Bishop Lavis, Cape Town, Charles Kinnear was shot multiple times in the upper body, whilst seated in the driver's seat of his white Toyota Corolla, resulting in his death. Kinnear was a lieutenant colonel in the South African Police Service, and was the section commander for the Western Cape Anti-Gang Unit. Before his death, Lieutenant Colonel Kinnear was on a full-out war, trying to take down notorious gang bosses and organized crime groups which were terrorizing the Western Cape. Former professional rugby player Zane Killian was arrested shortly after the incident and charged with Kinnear's murder. Kinnear's mobile phone had been illegally tracked over 2,000 times by Killian, using a specialized mobile phone tracking device and software before he was assassinated. Nafis Modak, Batchelor's former friend, was also arrested and charged in 2021 for Kinnear's murder. At the time of his death, Kinnear was investigating a gun racketeering case involving the alleged organized crime boss Nafis Modak and 8 high-ranking police officers. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate, IPID, reported that Kinnear's death might result in the collapse of a number of high-profile organized crime cases that he was investigating. One of those high-profile cases was the assassination of Marc Batchelor. According to Kinnear's investigation report, which came in the aftermath of his assassination, a Cape Town underworld figure was involved in the murder of Marc Batchelor. It is said there is a recorded telephone conversation that will form part of the investigation, and it indicates that a Cape Town underworld figure had invested 1 million rands in gold dealings in Johannesburg. Batchelor is alleged to have made off with 400,000 rands of the investment, while an alleged Israeli hitman skimmed off 600,000 rands. The conversation revealed that a Cape Town underworld boss had asked for the money to be retrieved from Batchelor. A week before Kinnear died, he had just returned to Cape Town from Springs with 2 dockets linking the same Cape Town underworld boss with an extortion ring in Johannesburg. Sources close to Kinnear have revealed that the detective, who was investigating a nationwide gun licensing racket involving SAPS officials and gang leaders, was closing in on the Gauteng Mafia and its illicit gold and diamond dealings. 2 British-born Zimbabwean citizens, along with an Israeli businessman, are said to be at the helm of the Gauteng racket which, apart from controlling illicit raw diamond and gold smuggling rings, is also implicated in human and drug trafficking and the hijacking of cigarette trucks.